Stephanie, I'm going to let you get started. If you're here for the Victim Advocacy webinar, you're in the right place. And I think Stephanie Elio with the Center for Legal Studies is going to kick us off.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome everyone today. We thank you so much for joining us. My name is Stephanie Elio. I am one of the directors at the Center for Legal Studies. We want to get a couple of ground rules out of the way really quick. Today I am going to be joined by one of our instructors and victim advocacy experts, Karen Mortensen. Throughout the presentation, we're going to go over all the ins and outs of how the courses work, schedules, pricing. Karen is going to talk about what a real day in the life of a victim advocate is and how to look for jobs. When you ask questions, we've got live chat in the background. Please feel free to type your questions as we go. We're going to do our very best to get to everyone's questions. We will have dedicated Q&A time at the end. So when you submit those questions through our live chat, please be kind. Please make your questions relevant. If they aren't, you do run the risk of being booted because everyone else is here to learn, and we certainly want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get what they came for. Our online system at the Center for Legal Studies is divvied out per year into 6 7-week sessions per year. The Victim Advocacy Certificate course is a 7-week program, and we do offer it 6 times per year. The next one coming up is June 29th. The one after that would be August 24th, and then again in October. At the Center for Legal Studies, we focus on providing affordable legal education. Our courses are structured around practical, applicable job skills. So we do make sure that you're learning things that you're actually going to use on the job. Our online classroom is what's called an asynchronous virtual classroom. Basically, what that means is you've got connectivity to both your instructors and fellow classmates. However, our courses are all designed for busy adult students. So there is no specific time that you have to be logged in. What happens when you're a registered student for this victim advocacy course or any of the legal support training staff courses we offer, you are issued a username and a password that grants you 24/7 access into our system, which basically means you set up your own schedule. Your instructor would post what your written and reading assignments are on Monday mornings. Deadlines typically run Sunday nights. So again, you've got that 24/7 access to be logged on when you need to be. There are video and printed tutorials to make navigating our system very easy. It's really user-friendly. And we do have administrative and technical support for all of our students. In regards to the instructor-peer interaction that I was talking about, our instructors all have email communication tools that you're able to use throughout your 7-week program. There's also bulletin board discussions. Some of our instructors will set regular office hours, so you know when they're more likely to respond quickly. But usually if you send an email, they're pretty good at responding within a day or two. All of the instructors that work for the Center for Legal Studies are busy professionals themselves. They're not only experts in their field and have years of experience, but they are still currently working in addition to teaching our students. So we really value their expertise that they can bring. All of the curriculum is designed into weekly assignments, which the instructor is grading on a weekly basis and help our students to keep on track and finish their course at the end of 7 weeks. The syllabus is something that is available for every course that we offer, and they are available on our website. So before you registered, if you haven't taken opportunity to view the syllabus, I encourage you to do that. It's really a comprehensive document. It goes over all the learning objectives. You can see what we're teaching you before you register. Make sure it's a good fit for what you want to learn. Our grading expectations are listed, policies for withdrawal, etc., all on our website at www.legalstudies.com. In regards to the grading policy, our expectation for all students, regardless of course, is that you receive a 70% or better on every assignment that you do. The purpose for that is so that you are competent when you go out in the field. We do not have cumulative grading. So if you get, for instance, a 50% on one assignment and a 90 on the other, your grades are not going to be averaged. That 70% or better on every assignment is the expectation to earn the certificate in the end. Now, first question that comes to mind for most students, if they're worried about that, is what happens if I bomb a test? What happens if I fail a quiz? You're not going to be booted out of the program. You will be contacted by your instructor. You'll need to get some additional insight with discussing with your instructor via email or the comments they provide on that assignment. Go back, relearn those pieces that you missed, and take that assignment over. Okay, we want you to be successful. That is the end goal. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce our instructor. Joining us today from Virginia, her name is Karen Mortensen. She currently teaches our Victim Advocacy Certificate course. Karen, take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I am Karen Mortensen, and I am one of those working victim advocates. I am the director of a 2-county victim witness assistance program just outside Richmond in Virginia. This is my 30th year working in the criminal justice system. I began as a police officer in England for about 7 years. And then for the last 20 years, I've worked in the advocacy field, working in shelters, rape crisis centers, but my most favorite has been the last 13 years where I work in a courthouse setting. So I work with prosecutors, looking after the victims every day. I have a master's degree in criminal justice and with a concentration on forensic psychology. But the most thing I'm very impressed with myself about is that I'm a credentialed advocate through the National Organization for Victim Advocates, so NOVA, but the credentialing comes through the NACP. And we will talk a little more about the NACP. It allows me to put letters after my name, CA, which stands for Credentialed Advocate. And any advocate who sees those letters knows how very hard that you've worked to earn those 2 letters. So what can you do with a career as a victim advocate? There are so many. I mentioned working in a domestic violence shelter or a sexual assault crisis center. You can answer national crisis hotlines, statewide crisis hotlines. There are many statewide, county and government agencies that you can work for. Some of the statewide agencies belong to the Office of the Attorney General. You can work in the crime victim compensation programs. For us here in Virginia, the Department of Criminal Justice Services. There are also federal agencies that you can work for, such as the FBI, or certainly the military have advocates who do their jobs for them as well. More recently, hospitals have started to hire more victim advocates to work with the domestic violence and the sexual assault victims who come through their doors. The colleges also have advocates, so we are spread all over. The one, like I said, I work in a court system, and I think generally you'll find an advocate in most courthouses throughout the country. We work very hard to make sure that victims are well looked after throughout the system. And we're a booming career right now as more and more people, unfortunately, become victims of crimes. They need more help to learn the systems that they work through, more assistance to make sure that they come out of their victimization and into being a survivor. And there are a lot of careers out there that we can join into, and it's a really good career to have.
Thank you so much, Karen, for that insight into the field and actually working in it. We truly value all that you can bring to our students. So let's take a minute to talk about the books, the materials, payment options, tuition, etc. The tuition for the Victim Advocacy Certificate course is $995. There are no required textbooks for this particular course. We do have Westlaw subscriptions and Oren's Dictionary of the Law that are recommended resources for a student to have. Anyone that is registered for any CLS, Center for Legal Studies course, can subscribe to Westlaw for a 7-week session, and that rate is $89, but it is not a required tool for this course. So that's simply an optional purchase if you wanted to practice your research skills while you were enrolled in this Victim Advocacy Certificate course. So in regards to payment options, in the last couple of months, we have added payment options to our checkout screen at CLS. When you put the course into your shopping cart, go to your checkout screen, it will make sure that you've got the proper school that you've selected. We'll talk about schools in just a moment and how to choose those, but you want to make sure that's in the course. If you want the optional material in the cart, make sure that the optional materials, if you want them, are there as well. When you go to check out, you will see a payment option there. It's called Affirm. That is a third-party vendor that we work with, and they can take that $995 tuition and split it up into payments. They'll come back. It's a really quick application, takes about 1.5 minutes. It is a soft hit on your credit, not a hard hit, so you don't have to worry about that ding. When they come back, if you are approved, and there is a really wide range of approval, so it is a credit-based thing, but again, very wide range of approval. When you do that, if it approves you, it'll tell you that what your payments would be if they are 3, 6, or 12-month choices. You can pick one at that time, set it up, and come back and check out. You will be enrolled. If you choose to not apply for Affirm or forego that option, you can still check out with a major credit card. No problem. We do accept all forms of payment: Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex. Okay. Our college and university partners. The Center for Legal Studies is an educational partner with almost 200 college and universities nationwide. We operate with the continuing education and professional studies departments at those schools. This is not on the 4-credit degree side of the house, where students are going for 2 and 4 years. Continuing and professional education departments offer non-credit job skills training programs. That is what this is. Upon completion, you would earn a certificate from the school that you designate when you register. Now, on the screen right now, you can see a sampling of some of our educational partners. Like I said, we work with almost 200. Our advice to students is always that if you intend to continue living where you are, you're going to be working where you are. And we have a partner school where you are. That's the best choice. Students are free to select any partner. The curriculum is owned and taught by the Center for Legal Studies. The certificate that you earn upon completion will be issued by the school that you designate when you register. So we're going to go back. Karen promised you we were going to talk just a little bit more about the NACP and NOVA, and I'm going to let her, as this is her wheelhouse and level of expertise, rest with her.
Thank you. So the NACP is the program that will credential you after you have completed this certificate course. You will be credentialed on a provisional basis, and then you can continue on from there by completing 32 hours of further training every 2 years. It's an application process that is held twice a year, so May and October are when they accept applications, and our program here is one of the programs that is accepted to give you that provisional credentialing. So even after getting the provisional certificate, you will be able to put that CA after your name, that credentialed advocate. NOVA allows us to do some extra training, and they do offer some excellent free trainings which will assist you in completing the extra 32 hours of training that you have to do for the following 2 years. The NACP, it gives us a professionalism for our field. It gives us a set of uniform standards that we follow, a code of ethics. It's a community. It's a community of credentialed victim advocates who can all support each other, lean on each other for any assistance that we might need. And then it offers us these training opportunities. So it's really an excellent credentialing to have for this field of victim advocacy.
Thank you, Karen. To enroll, it's really very easy. You can go directly to our website at www.legalstudies.com. There are many ways to get to pages that you'd want in our website. You can pull the course up from the Courses tab at the top of the screen. You can click on the Google map in the center of the home screen. Or you can take a link if you've already spoken to one of our enrollment counselors. Perhaps they had sent you something via email, either a brochure or an email that had information. The next session does begin June 29th. Session after that, August 24, and then we'll round out 2020 with our October 19th class. Registration is still open for the current session. We are registering students every single day, and we do still have room for you. So at this point, I think we'd like to open it up for some Q&A. Have we got some questions out there in the field, Libby?
I have a few questions. Our first question is about, sorry, let me just pull these up. Can they take separate topics at a time, or is it the full course that they need to take?
Okay, so the Victim Advocacy Certificate course, if you're referring to topics, then that means that you are an advanced paralegal student. We do offer this training in a subtopic within the Advanced Paralegal Certificate course, but those students must have already completed the Paralegal Certificate and are now enrolled in the Advanced Paralegal, in which they have to take 6 out of the 15 topics. So when it's delivered in that way, it is for someone that is strictly on a paralegal track. The folks that we're talking to primarily today are going to be those that are not necessarily on a paralegal track and want to earn a standalone certificate for victim advocacy. So you're either working in one of the fields that Karen mentioned earlier, you may be in social work, you may be in HR, something where you're not taking all the other paralegal training. It's taking it as a topic within the advanced paralegal. That's an added.
Is the only format option for this course?
We do offer it in the online format, and we offer it in a text-only format. The text-only format is primarily for incarcerated students that may not be able to get to a computer or the internet.
Are the courses accredited?
All of our institutional partners are accredited institutions. For instance, all the universities and colleges we saw on the previous screen. The Center for Legal Studies we're a business, we're a training company. We provide the trainers, we provide the curriculum, but the certificate that you earn will come from the school that you designate when you registered. And yes, every single partner we work with is an accredited institution.
Recommend this for school counselors? This might be a question for Karen. Have you had any experience with school counselors taking this program?
Actually, yes, I believe I have a school counselor in my class right now. The good thing about this is it teaches you how to respond to victims of crime or children who are going through crisis. So you're learning more skills regarding response to victims. And so when you're working in a school, you're definitely going to come across children who have been victimized. And so the skills that we teach you in that response would be very useful for that.
Karen, can the deadline be flexible if needed?
Can we clarify what type of deadline we're talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't say. If I had to guess, I would say probably the amount of time that they have to complete the course. I'll try and get some clarification on that question, but if you can talk about.
Our sessions are in our curriculum with the assignments and all the expectations that you'd have are designed to be delivered and completed in 7 weeks. The Center for Legal Studies has been training support staff for 40 years, and we do teach nationwide. The completion rate, which we did not discuss earlier, is above 85%. It is absolutely doable. So if there is a crisis in someone's life, we absolutely want you to be successful, but that is more of a one-off situation and something that you would talk to your instructor and the program manager. All in all, the majority of our students, more than the majority, finish this course on time without issue. So if something occurs in your personal life, you would work one-on-one with your instructor and our operations team.
Stephanie, we have another question for Karen in regards to NOVA. What is the highest ranking within NOVA? Is there a license that comes with victim advocacy? And once the June session is completed, how do we receive the certificate?
Let me go, Karen, you answer the first part and I'll answer the second.
Sure. So the highest level of credentialing is the advanced advocate. And the good thing about that is that you can specialize. So you can choose to be specialized in domestic violence or sexual assault. Or in my case, I'm an advanced advocate in a number of areas because I work with a number of different crime victims. So advanced is the highest level. Not only do you have to do the hours of training, but you have to have so many years in the field as well.
Okay. In regards to how long does it take to get to certificate, when you complete the course, the standard time frame is 6 to 8 weeks. There's a lot of administrative work that needs to be done before you actually receive that certificate. The instructors have not only you as a student, but many others. And some of our instructors teach multiple courses. So they need time to finalize grades for all students. Those are then sent to CLS. We do our administrative work here, and then we send a request to the school that you designated. They will do their administrative work, and then they will issue the certificate. So the longest time frame is going to be about 6 to 8 weeks, and that is not because every school takes that long, but sometimes there may be a holiday. You know, they are like everyone else. Someone could take a vacation for a week, something else. On the whole, they'll arrive in much less time, but that's the expectation, is that you will have it delivered to you within 6 to 8 weeks. Is
there a need, this might be a question for Karen, is there a need for non-English speaking advocates?
Oh, absolutely there is. And in fact, this week in my own position, I have been working with some Spanish speaking victims. So there are definitely a need, and advocates who also have that credentialing, but also speak a different language, are often much in need.
Found with this certificate is easier to obtain a job within this field?
So when I am searching for a victim advocate, if they have completed the work necessary to get this certificate, it is very much somebody who gets put ahead of the list of other applicants. The other thing that I always do, if I hire somebody, I expect them to be credentialed within the first year. So for the majority of us who are supervisors within the victim advocacy field, it's a necessary qualification that we expect you to get as quickly as possible.
We have another question. I'm considering the paralegal certification following the Victim Advocacy Certificate. Sorry, I just lost this question. 1 second. Our support team is so fast at answering questions. Okay, I'm considering a paralegal certification following the Victim Advocacy. Would I be required to take Victim Advocacy again?
No, not. The paralegal certificate is a 14-week training delivered over 2 7-week sessions. The purpose of that course is to develop your core foundational skills. The advanced paralegal certificate is the next step on that track if you wanted to take it. Our California students are actually required to do both paralegal and advanced to comply with the California Business and Professions Code that dictates how much training they must have. The advanced program is a voluntary measure for our paralegal students throughout the remainder of the country. Now, there are 15 topics in that advanced program. A student needs to complete 6. If you'd already earned your Victim Advocacy Certificate in a standalone format, as we're discussing today, then you would want to choose 6 other topics if you were going to continue training through the advanced. There's no point in duplicating that training. Just pick something else and make yourself even more valuable and more marketable when you're out in the field. The more knowledge you have, the more training you have, the more powerful you are.
Thank you. I think this one might be another question for Karen. Is it common that survivors of domestic violence or sexual assault become victim advocates?
Yes, it definitely is. And I think they make very empathetic, strong victim advocates. And I find that when I'm teaching my class, that a lot of the students will tell me about their victimization, their previous victimization, and are concerned that they may not be good at this, but they do very, very well in this course, and they go on to be very, very successful advocates.
Thank you. Can you talk about the any requirements that it might take to work in this field or to obtain the certificate?
Karen, do you want to field that? Libby, could you read it again?
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. The question is are there any underlying requirements or an underlying degree to work in the field with this certificate?
There's not a necessary requirement. Education, of course, is always positive. I always see this certificate and then some internships or volunteering once you've done this certificate, this course, is useful to get your foot in the door to start becoming an advocate. But I'm not, as an employer, I'm not looking for a certain education. I think some agencies look for a bachelor's degree in some form of human services or criminal justice.
I'd like to add, not to interrupt you, Karen, but I would like to add that the minimum educational requirement to take this course or any of our courses is going to be a high school diploma or GED. Okay. Now, 75% of our students nationwide, devoid of which course they're taking, so it's a very general statistic, but 75% of our students already do have degrees, whether it's an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's. We have folks with PhDs that come to take these courses. It's not a matter of that, and it's not necessarily required to have a degree, and I'm sure Karen would support my response on this. You don't have to have a degree, one, to take this course, you don't have to, but even to work in the field. Having this training is going to show that you have been trained to do that job and you are ready for an entry-level position. And having the provisional credential that you gain by completing this course through the NACP is going to further support the statement that you are qualified.
Thank you. Next, how do you specialize in this field? Is it based on your experience? Or how do you determine where you want to work?
I think sometimes that's a little by trial and error. As I explained earlier, I've worked in a domestic violence shelter, I've worked in a sexual assault center, and I've worked in the courthouse, and it's preference. You know, all along I'm learning how to work with individual victims, how to use the skills that I have, and the training that I've had, and then deciding which one fits for you.
And what you're passionate about. That is something that we really do preach here at CLS. The syllabus for every course that we offer is available on our website, and we want students, before they register, to view that. Go through it. All the learning objectives are listed. We tell you what we're going to teach you before we teach you, and it should be a fit. So in regards to all the transferable places you could transfer these skills to, whether it's a rape crisis center, whether it's a school counselor's office, whether it be an HR department, regardless of where you're going to apply this skill set, where you're going to be the most powerful advocate is by doing something you are passionate about. The more you care about it, the better you're going to do.
Thank you. Another question for Karen. Is there a cost involved for the actual certificate through NOVA or NACP?
So the cost comes with the credentialing. So at the provisional stage, it is $70. And then as you go through over the years, that cost increases to $140.
Is that per year, Karen, or every 2 years when you renew?
It's every 2 years. So your credentialing lasts for 2 years.
Thank you.
Thank you both. We have a couple of questions in here about international students. What is the victim advocacy equivalent in Europe? Would you recommend this for students outside the United States?
Ooh, difficult question. I would say any kind of training that you've received in victim advocacy, like this course that you're taking, you're learning lots of different skills, lots of different ways to work with different victims. And I would think that all of that training can only assist you when you go to look for a position overseas or internationally. So I would think it's essential just to give you those skills and that training.
Another question for you, Karen. Would you choose employing someone who has completed this course over someone who has not been certified? And where does the certified victim advocacy stand in regards to someone with experience?
I would definitely, if someone has chosen this course and has become credentialed, that is huge for me. That shows me that they have the knowledge and some experience as to what I am looking for as an employer. As far as experience, whenever I'm talking to the students that I work with, I do recommend once you've become credentialed and you've passed this course, you've completed this course, go ahead and intern or do some volunteer work. That gives you the experience, the hands-on experience. It just comes down to personality and experience after that. This course is just so in-depth and so useful for an employer to look at and see how much you've learned, that it's definitely a bonus when I'm looking to hire someone.
Thank you, Karen. We have an attendee that's already on top of it. They were reading the syllabus and they had a question. It says, bulletin board assignments. Are those assignments questions that we have to provide a response to and have a discussion? Or are the assignments exercises that we need to complete and then submit?
Do you want to field that since you're the instructor, Karen?
Absolutely. So the bulletin board, there are questions there that you've read the week's information that you need to read, and then you answer the questions for those. That's as simple as it sounds. You answer the questions using the information that you've already read that week.
Question for you, Stephanie, I believe. Can you revisit the Westlaw subscription? How long is that subscription active?
The Westlaw subscription is active for 7 weeks while you are in a session. It is a required tool and material for students that are in the second half of our paralegal certificate. If they are taking the advanced legal research topic within the advanced program, or they are taking the standalone certificate, advanced legal research and writing. Those are the only 3 courses we offer that require a Westlaw subscription. As a student with the Center for Legal Studies courses, you are eligible to have that as a voluntary thing. So if you're not registered for a class, you cannot come in to us and get a subscription for 7 weeks for $89. But if you are registered for a course, that is an advantage that you can take if you'd like. For this particular course that we're talking about today, Victim Advocacy Certificate, it is not a required material. It's a benefit that our students can take advantage of if they want to.
Thank you. Another question for Stephanie. Can you revisit the fees and the payment plan options?
Absolutely. The tuition for this course is $995. That does pay for your entire 7 weeks. There are no required books or materials for this course. The next session is June 29th, and the Affirm payment plan is a third-party vendor that we work with that upon going to your checkout screen at the shopping cart, you have a choice. You could either pay the $995 tuition with a major credit card, or you can apply for Affirm payments. What that does is gives you a little form when you click on it. It takes about 2 minutes to fill it out. They will come back to you with a pretty quick decision as to whether or not you are approved. It is credit-based, but they do accept a very wide range of credit scores. When they come back, if you are approved, it will literally post right on the screen what your payment would be if it's broken into 3, 6, or 12 months. They'll tell you what the monthly payment is, and at that point in time, you can choose whether or not you would like to go that route or pay it in full.
Thank you, Stephanie. A question for Karen. This attendee has a degree in victim studies. Would this certificate help?
Definitely. Absolutely. Remember I said the fact that you have those letters after your name, those credentialed advocate letters, shows an employer or shows another advocate that you have taken those further steps to further educate yourself and then become part of this NACP team that gives you a set of standards, a code of ethics, further training. And so definitely it will help whatever education that you've had already.
I'd like to add to that one of the differences between a degree and a certificate from an employer standpoint when you're out in the real world. When you submit your resume to various jobs that you want to apply for, having a degree is great. From an employer standpoint, in a very general sense, an employer looks at your degree and you are presumably a more mature adult, and they figure you have completed your general education. They're not always looking specifically at what you studied in that degree. It's that you completed a 2 or a 4-year degree, period. A certificate specifically shows an employer that you have been trained to do the job. Degrees focus heavily on a lot of academic knowledge. A certificate focuses on practical, applicable skills. An employer is going to pay you to perform the job. The certificate shows them that you've been trained to do it.
I also want to just do a quick time check. We have about 3 to 4 minutes left, so maybe time for 1 or 2 more questions. Want to be respectful of everybody's time. Our next question is probably for Karen. Can you talk a little bit about the average time that students should devote per week and what they should plan on studying outside of the certificate?
I think all of the information that they need is within the assignment information they're given for each week. I do see in the papers that I receive that some students go and research the questions a little deeper and then give me that information as well. As far as time goes, maybe Stephanie knows that more than I do. Maybe I'm not
We
sure.
typically say approximately 8 to 12 hours a week. And that is going to really be based on you, the student. There's a lot of different things that go into what that number is, and it's not the same for everyone. There's a lot of reading, which I'm sure Karen can agree. There's a lot of reading in our course. And so your own personal reading comprehension will be a factor. If you're the type of person that can read things on a first run, retain them well, be able to understand, comprehend them, and put them back out into your own words and thoughts, you're going to take less time. If you are the type of student that needs to read things multiple times for higher level of comprehension, it's going to take you longer. Your personal study habits will be a factor. Your time management skills will be a factor. The average is 8 to 12 hours per week, but it's going to vary. Some are higher, some are lower. If you're spending more than 20, you're probably overthinking things and need to connect with your instructor. Because you really shouldn't have to spend that much time. These courses are designed for busy adults. Most of our students have got full-time jobs. They've got kids underfoot. They've got spouses that want attention. They've got lots of things going on in their life. The beauty of the 24/7 delivery means you decide when you're working on it. 5 a.m., 3 in the afternoon, midnight, doesn't make a difference. But you get to manage your own week as it goes. And then weekends, nights, whatever works for you. Okay?
We have time for just this one last question, and then I'm going to have Stephanie reiterate how they enroll and that date. I believe this question would be for Karen. Any suggestions regarding finding employment that is not grant-based? In Ohio and Virginia, jobs are mostly short-term, grant-funded, with lacking benefits or job security.
You're right. Many of us within the advocacy field do work for grant funds. A lot of us, though, who are full-time grant funds do have benefits and some job security. I've been doing this for 13 years now, so it's definitely a secure position. And I think grant funds, depending on which focus you're looking at, are serious and tend not to be removed from us. I cannot think of an agency off the top of my head while I'm sitting here that does not use grant funds for advocacy programs. It would take some thinking, and I would have to do that.
There are nonprofits and charitable organizations that exist out there that are not grant-based. And then there are within organizations, within legal departments that have specific. Corporations may have an assigned victim advocate within their HR department. So there are some additional, but the local government agencies, police departments, things like that, there's a lot of different opportunities, and those are things you discuss throughout the course, correct, Karen?
It is. We do.
Fabulous. So as Libby mentioned, we want to thank each and especially we want to thank Karen for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to have you help me answer all of our students' questions. And we want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to learn more about this program. We encourage you to enroll. We'd love to have you join us. If you have questions that were unable to be answered today, I'm sorry that we missed them. We just simply run out of time. But you can speak to our enrollment counselors directly. They can be reached at 1-800-522-7737. We do have enrollment counselors available from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. You can also go directly to our website at www.legalstudies.com. And if you wanted to submit a question via email, you can send that to the email address on the screen, and that is info@legalstudies.com. Thank you again so much, everyone, and we will see you again soon.